have a non-stress test in about 15 minutes. We're running a little bit behind, even though we woke up earlier today. Christian's in the shower. I'm dressed. I'm ready. At our 35-week appointment, we got some pretty drastic news. So after today's appointment, I'll kind of fill you guys in on that. I just want to make sure nothing else has changed after this one, because this one I think can detect contractions, and this weekend I swear I've had a few. So I'm very curious to see what it's going to say. We're home. The boys are sitting out on the porch. They're having a little picnic while they eat. I came in to make coffee. I ordered a big bulk of my coffee pods so that when baby's here, I have my coffee pods. Sometimes Walmart has them, sometimes they don't. Sometimes Target does, sometimes they don't. So I just ordered a bunch off Amazon. I think it made it at a couple dollars cheaper. Not nothing crazy, but I'm making coffee. Oh man, the appointment today was reassuring for sure, and I feel really good about it. I feel great. I probably should update you on last week's appointment before we get to talking. I don't know which creamer's open. I guess this one. This is the best creamer, by the way. Before we get to talking about this week's appointment. Asher was asleep for his nap. We were going to do this, but he woke up and wanted us to hold him while he naps. And that's okay, because I'm going to take all the snuggles of just him with Bentley in my belly before Bentley gets here, so he feels all the love. So let's start with last week's appointment before we get into today's appointment.
Yeah, last week's was more emotional.
It was a really hard appointment. I wouldn't say it was hard in
It was hard mentally, for sure.
It really was hard mentally.
You came out crying.
Well, it was just pregnancy and emotions. Like, the only way I know how to release is just to cry.
Yeah.
So I go in for my 35-week appointment, and we did a scan first. And his belly was measuring 38 weeks. So I was like, okay, like, he is measuring ahead. And we knew that we were going to find out, like, his estimated weight. Obviously, these things are never correct. They're literally a scanner telling you how much your baby approximately weighs. They're not putting you on a scale and telling you. And he was 6 pounds and 10 ounces at my 35-week scan. So we were like, oh, wow. Like, he is going to be bigger than Asher. And so then I knew the doctor was going to talk about C-section, because Asher got stuck for a moment or came out too fast that broke his clavicle. We don't really know, because there isn't no like study or statistic from what happened, because it all happened so fast. Luckily it wasn't no like shoulder dystocia. It was just his clavicle broke, and it was a very good process, but we did not want to experience anything like that again. So in the beginning, we told our doctors, and we talked to her about it after she read the history of it, and she was like, well, we usually do C-sections for anyone that has shoulder dystocia. But he didn't have shoulder dystocia. He just broke his clavicle. So she said it was up to us on how we felt about moving forward. And of course, at that point, I was like, I still want to do the unmedicated pathway if everything looks good. And we said, okay, at 35 weeks, we'll do a scan, see how much he's weighing, how big he is, and go from there on what's the best way for you and baby. So this was a big appointment. We knew it was.
Yeah.
And seeing that everything else is growing on track. His stomach is just bigger. So we knew having the induction that is now a C-section was moved just so that we knew that this baby wouldn't get stuck. The chances of NICU time would be lower. Yeah. And no risk could really happen unless last minute things occurred. So I go in, blood pressure looked good. That was a great thing. Mm-hmm. They did check it the first time, and it was like 138 over something. And then they did it manually, and it was 120 something. So it was great. My doctor was actually homesick, so we did a telehealth. So it was really hard not to see her in person. And like, she couldn't measure me, she couldn't check me, but it went great. We had a plan. So our plan is, if I don't go into labor for the next week and a half, we will be having a C-section to get the baby out, or if I don't show any signs, or if I'm not dilated at our next appointment. But if I am dilating and my body is doing what it's supposed to, that's our sign that my body is going to be able to birth this baby no matter the size of it. And so that's the good thing, is that like, we're just like, we have two plans. So if I go in for my C-section, I say, and I'm like 4 centimeters dilated, we can easily switch it to an induction instead of a C-section, but it's harder to switch from an induction to a C-section last minute to book an OR, and then you don't want an emergency C-section because those are just scarier than a planned one. So that was our last week's appointment. I came out very, like, tenderhearted. I don't think I really talked that day. Christian videoed me a little bit just to save because it was just so hard hearing all that. Yeah. And I didn't want to cry while I was in there. So
you saved it all for after.
I did, and it was... I was waiting for him to pull a car up, and I was like, hold the tears, hold the tears. You don't want to run into anyone. So, yeah. And then...
Throughout the last week, you've had some more positive signs for not having a C-section.
Which has been, like, God's grace and, like, God just showing me my body can do it. So, Thursday was our appointment. Friday, all good, great. Saturday, I started having contractions. And I was like, okay, like, I think these are contractions, but I couldn't remember. And then Sunday, I feel like they were very heavy. And then into Sunday night, it was like, whoa, like this could be happening. And so I was like, okay, don't know if these are real, if they're fake, or if I'm just like, having gas pain. And today was our non-stress test that we have every Monday. Go in, get hooked up. She asked me how I'm feeling. She's like, okay, well, it could be contractions, could not be. We're not really sure. And then the monitor said I was having contractions at that moment that weren't heavy. So I could only imagine what I was having last night.
Yeah.
So that was a good sign for me to know that, like, my body is working. My body is doing what it's supposed to do to get prepared for this. We kind of just wait and go from here. Obviously, she told me to come in if my contractions got really chaotic. I mean, I didn't see the paper that tracked them, but she went and showed the doctor before I left to make sure I was good to go. So I took that as a, like, okay, like, they're definitely steady enough that, like, they're okay, like, it could happen this week. And baby looked great, which is really good. He's moving good. He is dropped a whole lot. So it's another great sign. And I'm just like, I don't know. I feel like if it doesn't happen before Friday when she checks me, we'll definitely get things moving. It's different for every person, every body. So that's our really big update. We were moved to a C-section, and now we're leaning more towards, obviously,
I just don't think you
labor.
like the idea of the C-section. It scared you.
It was really scary, and for healing, for me, I knew it was going to be really hard on not only me, but Asher, because I couldn't hold him, I couldn't pick him up, like... It was going to be totally game-changing. And, like, any mama that goes through a C-section, you are incredible. You are strong. And, like, just me thinking of it.
Pretty much any type of birthing process is pretty insane.
Yes,
so
all of the birthing processes. The epidural, no epidural, unmedicated, medicated, C-section, however your baby gets here. But, like, C-sections, I think, were just so scary to me because, like, it was surgery. And that is where we're at. And obviously, if my water breaks at any point or if contractions go crazy, we'll be heading to the hospital to have this baby that will be here for sure in another week and a half.
Yep. It's exciting.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you guys so much for coming along with us.
We love you, and so does Jesus. We'll see you all with another baby, possibly.
Possibly.
Peace out.